Hello, everybody. And nope, we're not supposed to be here with you right this second. Give me 2 seconds here because we have an intro. We have an actual intro.
Steel meets flesh with might, shadows cast tall. In the epic night, one by one they fall. Thunder roars below, hearts grow fierce and cold. In this deadly show, legends will be told. Titans of war collide, booming in the air. No place left to hide, feel the rivals there.
Okay, so something different. How do you like that? That's the intro for the channel. I got to work
Nice.
on integrating it here with the different systems I'm using, but what do you think? Did you like the intro?
Yeah,
What did you think of it, Dal?
it looks good. And
Yeah.
that was with AI, right? You'd use the
Uh,
AI program for that?
Every single piece of that was done by AI. Now, mind you,
Wow.
this is so it's my original everything,
Right.
but it's all with AI. So the art I created with AI,
Hmm.
the song, both the music and lyrics I created with AI. I put it all together. I arranged it, but
Yeah.
all the components were with the assistance of AI. So AI does a great job sometimes of putting things together for you.
Yeah.
I loved it. I
Kind
thought,
of kind of takes away all the unnecessary hoo-ha from the back end where so you could just really enjoy the creative aspect as opposed to just, arduously painstakingly putting everything together in a video editor.
well, yes, but it's for those of us who are, what's the word I should say, artistically compromised. I can't sing, can't play guitar or drums. My art is stick figures. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm just not an artist. So the best way to still get all of that together, AI makes me look like I'm actually competent. So, not bad.
Yeah.
So let me intro this. Now, folks, as you can see, we've been talking a moment or two here. This is the old man boss, and you are here with me with the top 10 challenge for sci-fi. I'm looking forward to seeing what everyone has to say as we go through. Every Saturday at 3 p.m., it is my goal to try to bring together different people, some of them famous, some of them politicians, or various notable YouTubers, or just other people, bring them together so that we can do a top 10 challenge, mostly around sci fi, whether that's in video games, anime, movies, books, all of that, different aspects. And it's going to be my top 10 list against my guest top 10 list. So we're going to try and do that, and I'm refining it as we go. First week we did with Larry Sharp. By the way, next week will be Blaine Pardoe,
Really?
the noted author known for his BattleTech, the Land and Sea series, the Blue Dawn series. Blaine
Wow.
Pardoe will be
Yeah.
on October 5th, and we're going to be doing another top 10 challenge. So sometimes we got famous people, sometimes we've got real people, regular people. Doesn't matter. We're going to keep you doing this. So that
Buddies in
being
your
said,
proverbial backyard.
huh? Yeah.
Buddies from your proverbial backyard.
Hey, why not? Everyone is welcome in the top 10 challenge. So now what I want to go into, let me first do Dal. For those who don't know, Dal is someone I've known for several years now, for a while.
Yeah.
You've known me through my main channel, which is the political channel, No Sound Bites Allowed. You've known me as I ran for Congress.
Mhm.
and we've actually met in real life. But also, many people may know you and have seen you during the Wednesday live streams, formerly the Friday roundtable with the
Yep.
Liberty First Foundation.
Yeah.
Take a minute, tell people who's Dal Grimm.
Well, Delgrim is actually an interesting moniker. It's one that I've had since I was 8 years old. But it actually has its basis in sci-fi. So this is kind of interesting. When I was growing up, I used to self-insert a lot into adventures in my imagination and things, and I didn't get out a whole lot. So I was able to play with Legos and build things, and Dalgrim was my character that I would put into these things. So when I went online, I naturally just moved Dalgrim to the cybersphere, and anytime you come across Dalamar Grimm or Dalgrim in video games or on the net, in like chat forums and stuff like that, it's most likely me. I was present since 1995. So Dalgrim has a lot of roots in entertainment, and I just took that to the channels and also use it as a handle for more politically focused things. There was a little time there when Fallout 76 first came out that Dalgrim was also the Dalgrim's Radio Roadshow, which was on what was the name of that other streaming service before they conked out Microsoft's embedded one with Xbox. It wasn't Zoom, it was something else. But I was on there for a little bit, and then when that crashed, I just hadn't continued it. Dalgrim is now on. Dalgrim's also on Grimm Liberty. They have a channel on Rumble now that I'm going to be starting to post more things to. That's more on the real side. As far as the entertainment side, I do stream games occasionally, and I do enjoy picking apart different intellectual properties and things of that nature. And that's what we're doing here today. Is we're actually going to go through a top 10 list, right, of our favorite firearms from the science fiction genre.
There are some rules with that.
Okay, so there's rules.
Before I get to the rules and we go into the list, I do want to mention. So, Dal, what you're trying to tell us is you are a D&D nerd in the modern day. So instead of doing what I did in the 80s with my buddies, and we had the books, and of course I loved playing assassin dwarves or dwarven thieves because they're cool. They're really, really cool. But in the modern day, you guys had all the computers.
Yeah.
And you're younger than me. So you decided to be a D&D nerd in the
cybersphere. Yeah.
Is that it? Is that where the name comes from?
Pretty much. I mean, no, not many people will know this, but I ran a guild for about 10 years on Guild Wars, the original release from 2005. And so that was about a decade long. So yeah, that's where a large part of my 10,000 consecutive hours of life have been.
Well, people know what Guild Wars is, so that counts. That does count. Let me ask.
Yeah.
What is your favorite? And we always like to, before we get into the list, we want to know a little bit about you, about your sci-fi cred, if any.
Okay.
And by the way, we're going to have a couple of guests. Yes, I'm actually lining up guests, believe it or not. I have a guest coming up and down the line thinks she knows nothing about sci-fi. Actually, she does. People don't realize how much sci-fi they know, like Aliens and a bunch of movies. They don't realize it's sci-fi. It is. But anyway, for your sci-fi cred, what's your favorite? Is it movies, anime, books? Is it video games, TV shows? What's your go-to for sci-fi?
Books, actually. I really enjoy the Andre Norton, Anne McCaffrey, Alistair MacLean.
You're mentioning authors, by the way. Some people don't know what these. You might do better mentioning their title of their main books too.
That may not help us either. when I was growing up, my mom was a huge sci-fi fan, and she did a lot of. And my mom and my aunt, they very much a lot of straight sci-fi, some sci-fi fantasy mix. So Dragons of Pern, which is Anne McCaffrey, that's one of her more popular titles. Andre Norton wrote Time Traders, which is a science fiction time traveling story based here on Earth, and it actually has Cold War implications in it, which is really cool. So Time Traders series, that was another one. Alistair MacLean had the Flinks and Flux. That was the Flinks and Flux is the series. There's Jerry Purnell is also known as a good author for science fiction. He wrote books like Hammer Slammers about a mercenary company that uses armor, hover tanks. Jerry Purnell also wrote the Janissaries series, if anyone's familiar with that. So most of my science fiction growing up came from books.
Big time nerd. Big.
If I did watch science fiction movies, I don't know if you might be familiar with Ice Pirates.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So
for those who don't know, Ice Pirates is a kind of a ripoff of Star Wars and Mel Brooks, his version of it, Spaceballs. So if you took Spaceballs and Star Wars, put them together, you'd get Ice Pirates.
And it was hilarious. So Ice Pirates, the Black Hole, the one from Disney, Hole. God, what else? Obviously Star Wars, very big Trek family, lots of Star Trek. In fact,
okay, we gotta ask then, what's the best Trek out of all the versions in Trek? And I don't count Star Trek Discovery, otherwise known as STD, and like a venereal disease, we don't talk about it. So that doesn't count. Anything else is Star Trek. Which one do you count?
I think the best one in terms of cinematography, polish, and story was probably Next Generation. I would say it would be Next Generation. I love the originals. Don't get me wrong. I love the originals, and I don't mind Enterprise. Most people are not a big fan of the prequel that they produced later on that was Enterprise. I don't mind it. But as far as polish and story and the way the universe was meshed together, I would say Next Generation probably did it best. Or the original series, I liked the characters better. Kirk, Leonard Nimoy's Kirk, Spock, Sulu, the original crew.
McCoy, can't leave out McCoy.
Yeah, and McCoy. The original crew were probably better developed characters, but as far as story goes and cinematography and polish, Next Generation did it better.
Well, we got better cameras and better computers, so I give Next Generation that. But I tell you what, DS9, there's the original series.
Yeah.
And I agree with a lot of what you're saying. They developed characters, and that's what brought it all throughout the years. Those characters were beloved.
Yeah.
Whether it would be Uhura, or I mean, we know these people by their names. Scotty, Uhura, Sulu, Spock, Bones, Chekhov, Kirk.
Chekhov.
I mean, that's the crew. We know, and when I mention those names, everybody knows. Yeah, I know who that is.
Yeah,
I know exactly who that is. You can go around the world, and people will go, "Yeah, I know those names," even if it's not their language. They know that name, and so that tells you something about how great those characters were, and the stories were decent. Really, Gene Roddenberry put a lot of heart and soul and thought into the logic of it all, and that's why it lasted so long. And I think you did see that in the Next Generation to an extent, although they were more story driven than character driven.
Yeah.
You can name a bunch of people there that people will kind of know, that
I mean, besides it would be if you were talking characters, knowable characters from Next Generation would be Data, Riker, Picard, obviously, and pretty much that's it. Everybody else is kind of ancillary to those three.
Yeah. You
Maybe LaForge because he was reading Rainbow Guy.
I put Worf is probably better known
Yeah,
than Geordie LaForge,
yeah,
but even then, now we're going into the weeds, and
Right.
people don't know it. But DS9, that was the series.
really.
That was the meat and potatoes. That was a great, original, unique spin on Star Trek, I thought. And I thought they did it the best. They had, again, memorable characters,
Mhm.
really deep character exploration, but yet also an overarching storyline and individual stories people got in. Hey, hot chicks. Good to see you with us. So yeah, this is one of my little people who know me from politics. Yes, I'm even deeper into sci-fi than I am into politics, believe it or not.
Yep.
So but we're not here today to talk about Star Trek. We're
No.
not here to talk about all the other stuff. But I do like knowing how people think, where their motivations are. Because we decided we were going to talk about a top 10 list. This is the top 10 challenge. Okay. And we said, and you were all into it, said, okay, why not guns? You're like, yes. But that's a huge amount of firearms. And I mean, considering all of sci-fi, that's just too much. So we had to whittle it down.
Yep.
And of course, I want to have more episodes, different challenges going down the line. So I said movies, you said anime and movies. So you're my guest. So I said, okay, we will include guns in anime and in movies. So if someone's going to say, and trust me, on my alternate list, my notable mentions, I have several TV shows that I would love to include. Could not put it in here. Comic books, could not put it in here. So you'll see that in my list. But we're only sticking to movies. We're only sticking to anime. And we're going to go through the top 10 at number 2. Just before we say number 2, we're going to go through a couple, 2 or 3 of our notable mentions. Mm-hmm. And then before we mention the number 1 pick, again, 1 or 2 notable mentions that we could not include in the list for various reasons, like not in the right genre or just didn't make the list because it wasn't quite there. And then we'll go with the number 1. Sound like fun?
Yeah, sounds good.
All right. And this is a fun conversation. Now, one of the big things, folks, this all counts on you. We're going to have fun having this conversation. Mm-hmm. It's just a conversation. And you're involved in the conversation too. We want to see your votes as we go. One of the first things you have to vote on, again, I will mention, did you like the intro? So let me know if you enjoyed that. But one of the other things that we want to see in the comments, in the chat, whether you're seeing it live or not, vote as we go. So if number 10, if you think I had the better choice, you go, Boss won number 10. There we go. And if Boss wins number 9, you go, Boss won number 9. You can say Dow did really nice. I understand what Dow was saying, but he lost and old man Boss won. I'm all fine with that. Mind you, there is no prejudice here. You can vote for anybody that you want, even though we know that I will win. Right? Okay.
It's your show, I guess.
Well, I kind of won.
The bias is already in.
Yeah. If you're watching the show, I've already won because you're part of the audience. So I appreciate you. You can always like, share, of course, share this with other people. Let's hear the other opinions out there. And that means subscribe so that more people will be able to see this week after week. So when we get Blaine, people can look back and see the debate I had with Larry, to see this one with Dow. You'll always be able to come back and show it to people, get them into sci-fi too. Okay, is that enough of me just putting it out there, doing my little self-promotion? Yeah,
that's good.
Okay, good. Got to do it. If I don't ask you for the money, if I don't ask you for the like or share, you guys won't do it. So
you got to boost the message.
Hey, got to get more people. Okay, so with that said, And I know this is being simulcast. We're all live on Rumble, on YouTube, Facebook, not Twitter, because I'm not giving them extra money. A few others. You're more than happy to comment and super chat on Rumble or on YouTube and Facebook and all the rest. So let's get started. So you're the guest. You get to pick your number 10. You're going to start with number 10. Tell me, how did you put together your list? Like, what was your criteria? And then tell me what's your number 10.
Okay. So basically, when I went through and we were discussing the topic, I tried to look for weaponry that was both iconic and was easily recognizable from popular universes. And then also the hardest part of it was trying to not get too obscure with some of the references. Because I probably watch things that most people don't, especially when it comes to anime. Your general audience may or may not have seen many of the science fiction anime from the 80s. And that's where a lot of the most notable firearms that I know of have come from.
Saiyans didn't have firearms.
No, but in Robotech they did.
Well, Robotech had, yeah.
Right. So
Well,
I mean,
no, that wouldn't count. Those were for the mechs.
those
People
were
didn't
for
have
the.
them.
Well, they did have a personal pistol that looked like a squirt gun, but
It was a
that's
pew
something
pew
else.
gun. That was
Yeah, that little pew pew. They weren't interested in those. It was just the mech ones. However, my top 10 actually comes from a anime from the 80s, and that's
don't go.
I'm
Into
not going to
that.
give it away yet. I'm not going to give away, but there are going to be some probably more obscure references in them.
Good.
But those were the rules. Those were the rules.
Mind you, I never said it couldn't be obscure. I don't care. Be as
Right.
obscure as you want to be.
Recognizability. The other thing is, I was kind of unsure as to whether thanks, Hot Chick. I really appreciate that.
I love it.
Straight down the line.
Oh, look, I can do this. Okay, I didn't know I could do this. We're still working. This is only episode 2, so I'm still working out this interview system, which is great. And so I can put it up there. I love you, Hot Chicks. Go on.
So the one thing I was kind of flip-flopping between is I wasn't sure if I could use energy weapons, if they would count as firearms or not. And then I finally decided this is for fun. Yes, energy weapons count. So there will be some energy-based weapons in there.
Energy weapons absolutely count.
Yeah. So there's that.
Wouldn't be SciFi without an energy weapon.
Yeah, right. So other than that, no, there was no criteria as long as it stayed within anime and within film.
Right.
So we're going to have a broad selection of different things from me anyway. Equally spaced between anime and movie film.
Okay. So now you know what his reasons are. So when he says something you don't like,
you can yell at me for it. It's fine.
Yeah. You can yell at us if you want. We may not listen to you, but you can yell at us. Go for it. Convince me. Go ahead now. Convince me.
Change my mind, right?
Go ahead.
Okay, so you want to see the number 10 then?
Yeah.
Okay. Number 10 is going to be right here. Let's see if I can get this up on the screen.
What, you got a screen? You got pictures?
Yeah.
Well, I didn't think you had pictures. If I knew that, I'd be having pictures.
Oh, see now.
I didn't put together pictures because I didn't think you would have pictures.
I don't have a picture for every one of them, but I will for this particular for the first one, for number 10 and my number 1, I have pictures for both. So
fine. I will get go ahead. I will get a picture from my number 10. I can do that.
Okay. Give me 1 second to kind of blow this up here.
I can do this.
All right, so I need to share. Let's see if I can do that. There you go. All right. So the number
Bingo.
10.
Got it.
You got it?
I got mine. Yeah. Go ahead.
Okay. So number 10 for me is from an anime called Agent Cobra, the space pirate. And it's from the 1980s. And it's a psycho gun. And the psycho gun is premised on the idea that you can focus psychic energy through your firearm and basically control the bullet, so to speak.
Right. It's called what?
It's called the Psycho Gun.
What was the show?
Agent Cobra.
Agent Cobra.
Yeah.
When was that?
Cobra the space pirate. So it's let's see. Now you're gonna put me on the spot. It's 1983, I think.
Okay, I don't remember that one. Okay, it's a new one to me. Okay, Agent Cobra. Cool.
Yeah.
All right. And the Psycho Gun. So what's it do?
Yeah. So it is attached to Cobra's arm, left
Don't we
arm.
sound like G.I. Joe?
No. It's
Okay, so it's attached to the. Okay, when you said attached to the gun, I don't know. I'm thinking G.I. Joe for some reason.
It's like a prosthetic. It's a prosthetic
cool.
on his arm, and it's a gun, but it utilizes will energy from inside the person. So you have to be very disciplined, supposedly, to use this thing. And he can control the coolest feature about this is that it's hidden underneath another prosthetic. So it's his arm. It's built into his arm, hidden under a prosthetic hand, and he pulls it out as a MacGuffin. You know, whenever he needs to get out of a really hairy situation. And the cool thing about it is that it's completely controlled by his mind. So let's see here. Space Adventure Cobra. Yeah. Come on, bring it up. Oh, for crying out loud. You just do it. 1982.
Okay.
There we go.
So you got the image?
Yeah, I'm trying to bring up the image now.
Okay. I know a couple of them on my list. Nobody needs to see. You when I mention it, you'll know exactly what it is I'm talking about. You'll be surprised though. But
let me see. It says there. Can you see it?
Hang on. That's it.
Yep.
Cobra. It's French.
No. It's actually Japanese, but there is a French one, a French film that they did.
Oh, but this is it's coming straight out of heavy metal. Looks like heavy metal.
Yeah. It's very much in that same vein, and you can see. I don't know if you can see where I'm pointing here with my mouse, but there's this is the Psycho Gun, and it's built right into his left arm, and he can control the bullet, and he can control how he can curve it, he can zigzag it, he can do whatever he wants because it's completely based on his will. It's completely overpowered, but it works really well within the anime. So that would be my number 10.
So it's kind of like what's that movie with Angelina Jolie and it had Morgan Freeman. They curved the bullets.
Yeah, it'd be something like that.
Mm-hmm. Okay, that's kind of interesting. I have a different pick for my number 10. Now, for me, my top 10 list, it's going by power. Kind of like my list last week. Power is very important. So I'm starting from what's realistic into what is really not. Okay. But it is sci-fi, even though my number 10 in the list, a lot of people won't notice it as sci-fi. People will probably be a little controversial here. First one is Revy and Black Lagoon. and what she has are a pair of twin Beretta 92F modified hand semi-automatic pistols.
Yes.
And what I think is really cool, I mean, they're really beautifully made, really intricate in the details on them. A lot of people do like them, but am I showing that there? There it is. Was that showing? Okay. There it
Yeah,
is.
that's showing.
I didn't know if it was showing before. Okay.
Oh man, I love Revy so much.
No, Revy is great. Now, the controversial thing may be that people say, well, Black Lagoon, that's not sci-fi. It's a little bit in the future. If you're looking at the technology they're using and the way that they're using the technology, the way the world is interconnected, it's like an alternate future. It's not quite today, it's in the future. So that's my excuse for Black Lagoon. It's not the real world, it's an alternate world that's slightly ahead. It's kind of like Mad Max 6 seconds into the future. There was a TV show. So
Yeah.
it's just a little bit ahead, a little bit different. And so I picked her guns. Again, I think they're great guns there. I mean, talk about real world. Starting from real world going up,
Yeah.
twin Beretta 92F modified. That's a nice gun, don't you think?
Yeah, they're a very nice pair of pistols. And I guess I can accept your premise for Black Lagoon. Just because I like Revy and I'm biased.
Okay,
But yeah,
Hot Chicks does not like your pick because a French psycho gun,
it's
it's
small
like
and
French.
demure.
It's small and demure, so anyone can control it, just like anyone can take
So-
over France.
So Space Adventure Cobra is actually a Asian. It is a Japanese anime. It's just that the French really liked the premise of it, and so they made movies about it as well. Surprisingly, most people don't know this, but French anime is almost on par in many cases with Japanese anime. The two, I don't
Yeah,
know what
but
it
it's
is about
French.
those two. Well, no, the two cultures there for some reason are very close to one another, and they tend to do a lot of cultural exchanges when it comes to their media than their art. I don't know if it's because it's sort of like a East meets West sort of thing, where they seem to have a lot of mutual respect for each other insofar as the entertainment is concerned, and you can see the themes being traded back and forth between the two cultures quite extensively. So
French lose. I'm not a fan of the French, but that's just me.
I'm not either, but I mean, as far as their entertainment goes, you can definitely see, for whatever reason, that Japan and France heavily influence one another when it comes to that.
Sometimes, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, almost as much as Western. There's also an equal amount of influence from Western sources, specifically cowboys. Believe it or not,
No,
which
Cowboys
is why,
affect a lot of the world. Absolutely.
right? Which actually leads to my number 9. But
Okay.
we'll go into that in a minute.
Vote, folks. Who wins in round 10? The French space psycho gun or, Revy with her 92F. There you go. But go ahead. What's 9?
All right, so number 9 comes from Cowboy Bebop, which is also another anime, and it is a cowboy space western that was brought to the United States probably around 1990.
Cowboy Bebop?
Yeah,
Everybody
Cowboy
knows
Bebop.
it. Of course. It was so popular that they decided to make a Netflix show that had nothing to do with the actual anime. Yeah,
That was
very-
unfortunate. They should
Yeah, that
never
was
have
very
done
unfortunate.
that. They should
But it was
never have done
popular.
that. Yeah.
Yeah.
1998 to 1999 is when it was introduced, and
Space Cowboys.
Space Cowboys. And what I really like is I like the firearms that they use in that show. Specifically, I'm trying to find the name of the gun. Oh, what is it?
He came very
Spikes.
prepared.
Yeah,
Spike's
right.
gun.
Spike's gun is
Yeah.
actually a really interesting piece because it's just a small. It just looks like a small compact pistol, but
I thought he was using a 380.
yeah,
It looks like
380?
a snub nose 380 or a Walther P50 P38.
I think it's a P38 actually. If I had to guess closest, it would be a P38.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, that was that. Oh, it was like the look of a Walther. In
Come
fact,
on,
that
the
was a
gun
James
nuts
Bond
out
tag.
there know what the P-38 is, a Walther P-38. It's James Bond's gun. In case you
Yeah,
were wondering, it's the gun that James Bond classically has always used. And that's from the anime, not the TV show.
correct.
That's your choice.
Yep.
Rich
Yeah, it looks.
girls. Okay.
Hmm?
No,
Rich
Hot
girls.
Chicks is saying rich girls. Don't know. Don't know what that means, but okay.
But yeah, they. Let me see if I can get a better.
Oh, now
Better.
you see. Now he's going to pull pictures on everything. I wasn't prepared. I thought we were just talking about. Now he's going to pull a picture.
All right,
of
all right, all
everything.
right. But no, this is still interesting because it shows it. So here, give me 1 second.
Go ahead.
Let me see here. Ta-da. Share. Now this is a real world replica of Spike's gun.
Okay. Yeah, isn't that a P? That's a P-38.
Yeah.
Yeah. Looks
So
just
that's pretty neat.
definitely not as cool as my number 10 choice. Revy's twin
No, Revy's Berettas are much better.
twins are better. Her Berettas are better, but that's kind of cool. It's a nice gun, and it is kind of cool the way that Spike uses it in the show, in the
Yeah.
cartoon, the anime. I thought that was pretty cool. So, yeah, I'll give you that. But I hate when it does that. Okay, supposed to put it there. But let me tell you, my number 9. I don't even need to show a picture of it because everyone's going to know exactly what it is.
Okay.
The movie Hellboy. And in the movie Hellboy,
Okay.
it doesn't matter which version, but I'm talking about the original Ron Perlman
Right.
movie based on the comic book of Hellboy. And Ron Perlman has that big ass revolver, which happens to be called the Samaritan. And it is, in fact, a 22 millimeter revolver with 4 rounds. The grip is made from a piece of the true cross. It is forged with Irish Catholic Church bells as well as blessed silver. The bullets that it fires are handmade by Hellboy himself. They include he makes them with silver and holy water and white oak, and they're blessed. This way, he's able to take on all the demonic, quasi-demonic, and other dimensional and evil dimension creatures that he fights all over the place. And if you remember in the movies, I mean, it's a big, huge human. A regular person's going to need 2 hands just to hold the bloody thing.
Yeah.
He holds it in his one big hand. So my number 9 is Hellboy's Samaritan 22 millimeter revolver.
You know what?
That will blow away your boy Spike in a heartbeat. It'll blow away Spike and the ship he's in.
I would say that even I would vote for Hellboy that time. that's a better number 9. Go ahead, vote for us. That's a better number 9 than my guy.
That's 2 for me. 2. Put it in. It doesn't count until it's in the chat. Put it in the chat. Put it in the comments. It doesn't count until then. But I think that's a pretty cool number 9. And like I said, everyone remembers that from whichever of the 3 movies that you want to pick, whether it's, I think there's only 2 Hellboy movies, both of them, the Ron Perlman movies. This new one, I think was crap.
Yeah. I actually haven't seen it. I didn't bother to go.
Don't even bother. It's not worth it. Horrible story. Did not look like Hellboy. Just unconvincing.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what's your number 8?
All right. So the number 8 one that I picked up was actually from something that we mentioned earlier, Ice Pirates.
Okay.
Yeah. So Ice Pirates is from, oh God, what year was that from? 1984. So Ice Pirates has there's several different firearms. They try to model the sort of science fictiony, futuristic, but yet old tech kind of mixture of steampunk and other things. And there's one firearm in that movie that looks really interesting, and it's not carried by the main character. It's actually carried by one of the extras, and it is a firearm that has a bell housing on it that goes around your hand, and it looks like a cross between a flintlock, a sword, and a cannon.
Okay, that one find a picture of, because I can't imagine that. That one I want to see a picture. See, I remember, is Ice Pirates the movie? I know it's the one they have to go through. The spoiler. They got to go through that little time tunnel warp thing, and they're aging as they go through it.
Right,
Right?
because it's behind a veil where so Ice Pirates is about, there's no water on any of the planets. Water is in very short supply. So what they have to do is when they find this planet that has a treasure on it, the treasure is water. It's an entire planet just made of nothing but water.
Ice.
Right. So what they want to do is they want to get to this planet, but in order to get to the planet, it has some sort of cosmic obstacle where it basically bends and warps time around it, and they have to try and figure out how to get through that to get into the planet where they could get all the water that they could possibly ever want, and thereby make themselves rich. Right. So that's the short premise of the movie. They do make it there, and they had all that stuff, but there's the firearm that they use. I gotta now you ask me for the picture, and it's the one thing I didn't get the picture of.
Well, you get the picture of that. Well, because I can't imagine it. That's just too. I can't imagine a flintlock that's a buckler. That's also a, what else was it?
It looks like a small cannon with a flintlock action, but it's not a flintlock, and it's got a.
No, don't show me. Type, because I can't envision that. I can't envision a flintlock cannon buckler thing. That I got to see that. That one's got me. But I remember the movie. It's kind of a parody, but it's also kind of they take themselves straight, like a serious movie, but they know they're a parody as well.
Yeah.
And like I said, it's kind of a mix between Spaceballs and Star Wars. It's a really interesting mix. If you haven't seen the movie, I mean, it's on TBS all the time. It's on the cable channels all the time. So you have probably seen at least parts of it, and you probably mix it in your mind with Spaceballs because they're so similar in their style. Wasn't Steven Gutenberg one of the leads in that or something?
I believe so.
Gutenberg.
I don't
I'll
remember.
find out. I'll find out real quick.
Yeah.
Because I'm good.
They do not have a picture of this thing. That's crazy.
So you were looking at the movie?
Yeah, I'm looking through the movie.
Oh my God, I am wrong. Okay, I am wrong. It is Robert Ulrich was one of the leads. He was a big star in the 1980s. He was leading man in like a TV series and a couple of others, a bunch of TV shows. And so this was his attempt to make it as a movie star.
Yeah.
It also had Angelica Houston back when she was young and hot. John Carradine and Ron Perlman were also in this.
Yep.
Michael D. Roberts and Mary Crosby. Most people don't know those two, but everyone's probably heard of John Carradine, who's very cool, great director. Ron Perlman, of course. Angelica Houston when she's young, super hot. And Robert Urich, who, if you're old like me, you remember the 80s, you remember him. I think he was Hawk or something like that. He had some police type series that he was in. Yeah, I remember. Okay. Well, while you're looking for your number 8, a picture of it, you won't need a picture for mine, because everybody knows my number 8 gun. Because you know my number 8 movie. The movie is Terminator 2. Aha!
Yeah.
Which was when Terminator was still cool.
Cool. Yeah.
Terminator was still good, and the storyline wasn't stupid. And in Terminator 2, I think we all know, obviously, they send a second Terminator back. It's Schwarzenegger again. He's listening to the kid because, I don't know, they always want to throw a kid in these things. I hate that. But he comes back and he's told he can't kill anyone. But he's also got to stop the police as they're trying to destroy Cyberdyne. So what's he do? He pulls out an M134 minigun that fires 6,000 rounds per minute, and he wound up with 0 kills. Think about that. 6,000 rounds per minute. We're talking about 60 rounds per second. Actually, no, that's wrong. Yeah, that's right. No, 600 rounds. 600 rounds per second after the cops. And he's only about, I don't know, 150, 200 yards away from the cops. This thing's got an effective range of over 1,000 yards. He's only 100 and maybe 100 yards away from the cops in their cars. And he's blowing up the cars. He's shooting at all the cops and winds up with 0 fatalities. Now, they say on screen, 0 casualties. I have great difficulty imagining that he's using a M203 mini grenade launcher as well as an M134 minigun to wipe out all the vehicles and have everyone run and duck and hide. I mean, somebody got hit. Somebody got hit. But he is, he is a robot. He is a machine. So they do sell it pretty well that a machine could plan it out and move fast enough and be detailed enough not to hit any human being, but yet suppress them completely. But I think, there's a couple of movies, and you could have probably gone with the minigun in Predator in the first movie.
Yeah.
And obviously that was being carried around by Dave Dukes. And excuse me. It wasn't. It was Jesse Ventura. Jesse Ventura had the minigun until he gets killed. And so he was just clearing out the jungle with that. But I like that scene, but it wasn't quite iconic enough, although it's the same M134 minigun. So everyone remembers one of those two scenes, either in Predator, the original, or in Terminator 2. But I think Terminator 2 with Schwarzenegger, the black jacket, standing up in the building, the glass blown out, just firing down at everyone with the glasses on. I thought that was just iconic and cool.
Yeah.
What do you say here? Am I right?
Yeah, you're better.
Is the minigun just like too cool?
Yep.
And
no, I definitely think that would actually top the 10 list. Yeah. Number 8's you said number 8 or 9. That's your number 8.
That was number 8. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's a better pick for that list than mine.
Okay. I'll accept that.
Although I'll say, yeah. So it's 3-0. You demand 1,000 here. You got your hat trick. But I think the number 7 one is going to be better.
Yeah, you think you can beat my minigun? You can beat the Samaritan pistol from Hellboy and Revy's handguns. And you know what?
Yeah,
I'll give you number 10 because Revy, she's hot. She's fantastic. It's not quite sci-fi enough, even though it's in an anime. It is, but it isn't. So I'm willing to concede that one. I'm willing to concede 10 to you. What's your number 7?
Number 7, you're gonna know this one, and I don't have to produce a picture for this one. I'm talking about the Lawgiver from Judge Dredd.
What? Wait. Which movie? Which movie of Judge Dredd?
The one with Jason. That's not Jason Priestley. It's
Priestley.
not Priestley. It's He plays McCoy in the new Star Trek, and he's also in The Boys.
Okay, you're talking about 2012.
Yeah.
And you're talking about, now you mentioned his name, now I'm not thinking of it, of course. You're talking about the movie. The movie itself is called Dread.
Right.
Which is based on the comic book series, which
Carl
is
Urban.
Yes,
Carl
Carl
Urban
Urban. Yeah, Carl Urban. And it's based on the comic book series, which started in the UK, Judge Dredd, in the 2000 AD comic book series. So you're picking the 2012 movie, which is phenomenal.
It is a great movie. Yep.
I love slow-mo. And they, you know what? I think, what's his name? He just did the Rebel Moon. What's his name? The director. Everyone remember Rebel Moon? You shouldn't. I hope you didn't see it. It was horrible. But he's always known for Zack Snyder. Zack Snyder loves his slow-mo. He wishes he could do slow-mo like they did in Dread, the 2012 movie.
Yeah.
Wishes he could do it. But go ahead. Tell me why.
All right. So the reason I like the Lawgiver in this iteration is because it has selectable fire ammo in it. So he can switch between high explosive, white phosphorus. He's got like a non-lethal option, and he can do it by voice command. That is phenomenal. Plus, it has actual select fire, so it can be semi-automatic or it can be a full automatic weapon.
True.
It is the Swiss Army knife of firearms in science fiction, and I just love the crap out of it.
That is a really multi-purpose firearm, and good movie to pick it from. Absolutely sci-fi, and absolutely an iconic handgun. That is an iconic firearm. I don't know anyone who wouldn't want to have a Lawgiver.
Oh man,
I'm surprised that you put that as your number 7.
That's my number 7.
That kind of shocks me there. I don't know, guys. You tell me what you think in the audience. You tell me what you think about that. But the Lawgiver at number 7, matter of fact, I gotta type that into the chat. I've got to. Hang on, folks. Number 7. So my question, Lawgiver at number 7, is that too low? Come on, folks. You see this. Is that too low? I want to know what you have to say about that. But that is a damn good choice. Except I have a number 7 choice too.
Yep.
And I think my number 7 is going to blow away your number 7, kind of.
Kind of, sort of.
Well, I know what you're going to think, because the movie is called Aliens. Let me say it again. Aliens with an S at the end, not the 1979 initial movie when they had nothing but, a couple of forks trying to kill the alien. No, not that. Even though Sigourney Weaver did a great job. Dallas, the guy who played Dallas, fantastic, good leads, great movie. No, I'm talking about Aliens, when they went from sci-fi horror to sci-fi action. And I think was actually, well, I can't say it's a better film than the first one because it's completely different. I mean, they changed everything, but keeping it the same. I mean, same concept, totally different way of looking at that universe. So it's in the movie Aliens, which is a fan favorite. And I know you're seeing this, Dal. You're saying to yourself, uh-oh, I'm in trouble. I can see it in your face. Because you're thinking I'm going to say it's the M41A, which is the pulse rifle of the Marines. And we all know, as a Marine, I love the Marines. And Marines rule. We know this. And anything with Marines is obviously a win. So how could I not pick the M41A pulse rifle, which has 99 rounds of ammo, fires 24 millimeter caseless rounds. It has a 4-round burst, full auto option, 900 rounds per minute with a U1 It also has it comes with the optional U-1 grenade launcher undercarrier used by Sigourney Weaver so well against the alien mother. I know you're thinking, I picked that. Am I right?
That's the first one that came to mind. Yes.
And you'd
It's
be
the
wrong.
most-
And
Really?
everyone is wrong
What?
because I did not pick that. That is not my number 7. In fact,
That's your number
Aliens,
2.
any firearm in Aliens does not come back up on my list again. No.
Really?
My number 7 is the slightly less iconic, but still Marine Corps man portable M56 smart gun carried by who other than Vasquez. That's right. Vasquez was carrying around the full auto 600 round 28 millimeter caseless long machine gun that fires 1,200 rounds per minute. That badass man portable with its own supporting cage, allowing her to carry that big ass gun by herself, even though she's like 5'4" and was kicking ass and taking names, along with her best buddy, who happened to be like 6'2", standing right next to her, and they were kicking ass. Yes, Marines, let's rock. Marines, let's rock. That's the line. It works. And what she do, boom, she starts bringing it to them. Am I wrong? That is a number 7.
Okay. All right. I seriously thought you were going to go with the pulse rifle.
Everyone thinks about the pulse rifle. No,
nobody thinks about the
scene
other.
is seeing Vasquez as she goes, let's rock, and starts just mowing them down. Yeah. And Lieutenant Gorman's like, who's firing? Who's firing? Don't fire. Stop firing. And they're just like,
Marines, hoorah!
You know? The only other gun I was thinking about at that moment was when Hicks pulls out his shotgun and he goes, Marines, we are leaving. Marines, we are leaving.
Yeah.
I mean, that's another. So it's a little bit of the iconic scene, but it's also, come on, we're talking about a man portable machine gun that fires 28 millimeter rounds. We're talking about 600 rounds. Right. She is taking names on that. And we see the aliens and we know how tough the aliens are. And she is taking them out hardcore.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's not a question that is, you could take that to pretty much anything. I'd like to see a Predator try and stand up to one of those. I'll take on the Predators with one of those. Bring your ship on down here. I can go up against just about anyone. You want to bring a Terminator? Give me the M56 smart gun. I will take on the Terminator. That thing will put some holes in him. At least that's what I think.
Yeah.
I like that gun. I like that gun. I like Vasquez, the character. Not
of course.
just because of the name. But, I mean, she's a Marine and her name is Vasquez. I mean, yeah, I kind of love her, but she earned it.
You were already married. You just didn't know it.
You know, she could be my granddaughter, not my granddaughter, my future, whatever. What would you call it? She's in the future.
Future wife.
I don't know.
No, I mean, if she was
my future wife.
If she was of you, then it would be like great granddaughter or something of the future.
Something like that in the future. I don't even know how to work that out. But she's a badass. She's a badass. She earns it, and the gun helps her to be that badass. I think my number 7. I think that works. I think that's better.
I don't know if that might be too much gun. Honestly,
there is no such thing as overkill. There is no such thing as too much firepower. There is no such thing as overkill. You cannot shoot something with a gun that's big. There's no gun that's too big. There's no boom that's too much. No such thing as overkill. Not in my book.
I bet I don't think you have to worry about too big because my number 6 would probably put a hole through it.
Okay, so what's your number 6?
All right. So jumping forward from into the 90s a little further, the Noisy Cricket is my number 6.
Noisy Cricket is definitely, yeah.
Compact,
Mhm,
big
mhm.
holes. That's my number 6.
Yeah.
Noisy Cricket from Men in Black. That would be fantastic.
The original movie
Yes.
that started that whole thing. You know, I don't have a big argument against Noisy Cricket. I love that.
Yep.
When Tommy Lee Jones goes, Noisy Cricket. Holding it with just Noisy Cricket.
Yeah, but
Will
then
Smith is like, what's look at the entire wall, and he's like, Noisy Cricket.
Yep. And then all these massively, like, he's like, yeah, I'm taking the big caliber weapon, and then he was like, here, take this, Junior. And it's like,
You know, it's not even a pea shooter. Here, hey, there you go.
but it makes a really big hole
And knocks him off his ass when every time he fires it.
Yep. And just for the humor of that is probably one of the few small guns that is the most iconic that we could see from like a modern film setting. So that's why I chose it as a number 6.
That is a great choice of firearm. I do like the Noisy Cricket. I think it is an impressive firearm, and it was shown off very well in Men in Black, and it looks sci-fi. I mean, it's a very sci-fi. So. It's tiny as hell, but it looks very sci-fi. So I mean, I give you that as well. But you know, and I'm looking at all my guns, and I'm looking at how they can be used, and how not just iconic the scenes are, but you know how they are iconic and the scenes are iconic. So I had to go with my number 6. I had to go with The Fifth Element. And of course, when I say The Fifth Element, which is a Bruce Willis film from back in the 90s, everyone remembers him being so energetic at that time. And of course, then we have to add in Gary Oldman, who is he's a phenomenal actor.
Yep.
And he does so well, especially when he gets to play these bigger than life characters, whether it's in The Professional, everyone, or you know, he's being Dracula, or when he plays Zorg, the mega capitalist, mega corporation owner, fire 500,000 people. But they said 1 million. Oh, no, excuse me. They asked for 500,000, fire 1 million people. But they only asked for 500,000, fire 1 million. But I went with his ZF1. Do you remember what the Zorg ZF1? I think most people remember it. You put your hand. It's not just that you hold it. It actually cradles your forearm, so you don't have to worry about having any wear and tear on your wrist or the recoil there. So it comfortably fits in like a cradle around your arm. It's firing. You can fire a net, mini rockets. You have fire and forget bullets. Just pick your target, fire any other direction you want.
I think he either called it the echo or the repeat function, but it's like you fire once at where you want the bullet to go.
He called it the recall.
Yep. And
every other round goes right back to where that first round hit. And he's firing everyone. It's all going wrapping around him. And they did it with the CGI. So it even looked cool that all the bullets are wrapping around, kind of like your Psycho gun from number 10. It wraps around and comes right back and hits it. Wanted. That was the movie that we were thinking of. Wanted.
Yeah.
Where the bullets curve. And so just like any of those movies, the bullets curve hit the same target, but you have a flamethrower. It has ice as well. All of that in a man-portable, small little compact device. That's the Zorg ZF1. And if you happen to be a stone cold killer, not a believer, not a fanatic, a stone cold killer, don't forget, you're going to ask about what that red button does.
Yep.
Okay.
Now, interesting piece of trivia about that particular firearm in the movie. Do you know what real world platform that's developed on?
There's a real world.
It's
No.
based. It's based on. It's based around, rather. It's built around the Russian AK-74U platform.
The AK-74 doesn't have an undercarriage.
No. When they were trying to design this weapon and to make it outlandish,
The
like
style of it.
Yeah,
Mhm.
they started with an AK-74U, and that's what they came up with.
No, that I'm not surprised by. The AK, for people who don't know, in the real world, AK-47s, there are so many variants of them. I mean, it's not just, it's an AK. There's a lot of, there's the AK-47, there's the AK-47U, oh God, the SP. There's a couple of other variants. So you can get it specialized to do almost anything. So a lot of movies work off that basis because it also looks kind of cool. And it is a cool looking gun. I'm not surprised, but I mean, Zorg Industries definitely has a winner, and it's usable by everyone, including a bunch of aliens that are absolute idiots and figured they just pressed the buttons to figure out what would happen. And, you know, it's kind of like, what's his name? Not Clunk. Crunk.
I don't remember.
Pull the lever. Crunk. Push the button.
Yeah.
Push the button. Boom. So I love that. And I love that scene as he's walking away, smoking a cigarette, and poof, there goes the flames. It's like, hey, you know, he lived up to his word.
Yeah, that's true.
So that's my number 6, the Zorg ZF1. That's a good
That's a very solid entry. It actually was one that was a little higher up on my list.
Okay. You got Noisy Cricket versus Zorg. I mean, yeah, that's kind of cool.
Yeah. And it was
Guys, it's your choices in the chat. Tell us who you think is winning.
And I was actually the ZF1 was going to be my number 5, so you kind of took that.
That is your number 5?
That was my number 5. Yep. Yeah.
Great
Number 6
minds
was Noisy. Number 6 was Noisy Cricket because of how devastating but small package, and it was better than the Lawgiver, right? Then the number 5 was going to be Zorg, just for the myriad of options, plus the ice cube system, which freezes, not just the flamethrower. So you could freeze, you could thaw, you could cook your dinner and then preserve it afterwards. You know,
true.
That was my thought. So that was going to be my number 5. So we could give that one a miss if you want.
No, that's your number 5. That's fine. We can have the same guns on the list.
Yep. So that was interesting. You pulled that out, and I'm just like, oh.
No, it's great. You know, you have an OP gun in sci-fi that immediately after finding the gun, they destroy it. They had to destroy because no one would win.
Right.
Anybody with that gun was going to win. So they had to wipe out all the guns except the one at the end. But they wiped them all out because they were going to win. Who's fighting against the ZF1? Nobody.
I mean, the only weakness it has is when it runs out of ammo. So, I mean, you use up all the functions eventually. And then if you really want to, you know, hate somebody, you just throw it at them and let them press the red button.
There, you give it a try.
Finish him rightly. Just throw the weapon at him and let him do it himself. It's only got
this red button glowing. That's the only thing that seems to be still active. Let's hit that and see what happens. All right. So that's a good one. All right. Well, so that's your 5. Your number 5 is the Zorg ZF1. And it is a tough firearm to try and battle against. And looking at all the sci-fi movies, look at all the anime out there, for my number 5, I had to go, and kind of like you, I came to a realization that there's just one gun that really, as we're escalating the power and the capability and the sci-fi and the iconic nature of each and every one of these firearms, as we're getting closer to one, I had to come and I started having some difficulty ranking each of the guns here.
Yeah.
And this is when I came up and I had to say, you know what? The Lawgiver. The Lawgiver Mark II. That specifically is the Lawgiver in Dread, the 2012 movie, not the 2001, which is very similar.
Yeah.
The 2001 is an earlier version of the Mark II Lawgiver, which you can see with Sylvester Stallone. And yes, it does have all the multi-selection on the different types of bullets you can use. You've got your high explosive, your armor piercing, incendiary, which are called the hot shot. One guy learned that lesson real quick, just as deadly as anything else. You've got your high explosive heat seeking rounds, gas rounds, grenades. That's all in that gun. In fact, it fires 48 different rounds. It has a capacity of 48 rounds that could be any kind of bullet that pretty much that he needs.
Right.
All in that one handheld gun. You identified all of these things very well. And in that movie, we get to see most of those different types of firearms being used by Carl Urban, being used in that movie, starting with the hot shot, which is the incendiary. And we saw another great scene, beautiful, the artwork of him firing the incendiary over the balcony as it arcs down. The white phosphorus is coming down in its trails and lights up all of Mama's men, burning them to hell. Oh, that was such a good scene. Slow motion. Again, Zack Snyder is just wetting himself, watching them just arc on down, and the guys, and it's fantastic.
It was one of the best scenes in the movie. Like,
It was.
From a cinematography standpoint. Like there is very, very little that you could find or pick apart that was wrong about that scene. It was just very well crafted. It almost reminded me of Kubrick. When he does shots, he was a photographer before he became a director. So a lot of Kubrick's things are set shots. Where it's just very wide, almost like it's a photograph, but in cinema. And that's on purpose. He wanted it that way. He was very much in control of things like lighting and like framing. He was very big on that. When you see that film, when you see that scene in the film from Dread, and it's just framed like that, it just it reminds me of that kind of care that Kubrick would give to a scene. It was fantastic. Very well done. I loved it.
No, I absolutely agree. That it's a beautiful scene. And yes, he has that kind of eye put there. It's kind of like George Miller, that he sees the scene before. It's very visually appealing. I mean, Mad Max, Fury Road, which I thought, I didn't see Furiosa. I don't care about that character.
Not really.
But then I saw, but I saw Fury Road, which I was afraid was going to be what Furiosa became. And I still think it's not a Mad Max movie. It's in the Mad Max universe, but it's not a Mad Max movie.
Right.
But beautiful. Oh my God, the cinematography, fantastic. And that's kind of what I feel about Dread, the slow motion scene when they're going after the guys who are actually hitting the slow-mo. Fantastic. By the way, I have to ask a question here for a quick second. Mark St. Vincent S. Valmores. Mark, thank you for watching the show and thank you for your comment. I don't know what H means. I don't know what 8 means.
No.
Please type out, what does that, I don't know what that means. But thank you for the comment. I HH. Okay. I have no idea what that means. I'm an old man. Again, old man Vass. I have no idea. I barely know that GG means good game. That's all. I mean, and it took me years before I figured out what that meant. So please keep in mind, you type in H or HH. I'm sure it means something to somebody. I'm old. I have no idea what that means. None whatsoever. So please explain that to me. Just type in, it means something. Or if anyone else who's watching knows what H means, type it in. Tell me, educate me, because I'm dumb. But here's the one thing about my number 5, and one of the reasons why I also picked it, besides of all the things we've just talked about. The Lawgiver has a safety feature, which was also in the Sylvester Stallone version back in the 80s.
Yep.
And that is that the only person who can use it is it has to be a judge. And in particular, the judge, one specific judge, has the right to use that Lawgiver. It can be overridden by any judge, but so it's DNA coded. So it doesn't even matter. It's not about fingerprints or anything else. It's DNA coded so that the second that you use it, if it's wrong, blows off your arm, they're dead. Yep. There you go. Which obviously was very important in the Dredd movie. So it has a safety, it has the ultimate safety lock. And that's why it got to be number 5 on my list.
Okay. Yeah, I can see that.
Just
I went the other direction. I made the Z1 the number 5 because it had more. I liked functionality, and that had more functions.
Well, that's why I went with the 5 as well, because Dredd's the Lawgiver has AP and incendiary. I mean, it's got like 6 major different functions all in one firearm with the same ammo, so you don't have to worry as long as you got a clip. And it actually has 2 different clips, 12 rounds each, 24 rounds each in each clip, one on the top, one on the bottom.
Right.
And that allows it to fire all the different types that it has. So, I was thinking the same thing, but that's why I went Fifth Element first, Zorg and the ZF-1, and then the Lawgiver Mark II, which is number 5. But let me ask you, so what's your number 4?
So my number 4 actually goes with more iconic and simplistic, but wider known, the PKD Series D blaster from Blade Runner, Richard Decker's gun.
Oh, Decker's gun. Wait a minute.
Decker's gun. I
thought his gun was a revolver.
No, actually, it's a little bit different. It's it looks like a bolt action slide. Like if you actually look at the prop up front, but it's a 44. Yeah, it's supposed to be a 44 caliber, but it's made out of a what did they say it was? 222 model SLI hunting rifle. The actual prop is built out of a hunting rifle, but it's supposed to be a 44 special.
Bring up a picture of it, because I remember it as just being a revolver. Because I mean, obviously, I think a lot of us have seen the original Blade Runner. I mean, it's a classic, beautiful, really well done, really well thought out. What a great vision of the future, cyberpunk all the damn way. William Gibson absolutely was one of the inspirations for it.
Yeah.
But looking at and remembering Decker, I mean, I remember Decker. I remember what's his name?
Harrison Ford?
No.
Was the guy that played him.
The cyborg. In the Rain. God, I can't. Rutger Hauer's character. I remember him very well. I remember his lines. I remember the ending. It's incredible. I remember Pris, kind of, sort of, but I remember her. I don't really remember Decker's gun. I mean, the only time he really uses it was to shoot the one. He used it to shoot the one skin job. I forget what I know that's the derogatory name for them in the movie. But it was that one character. She was running away, and he used it against her.
Yeah.
Oh, that's it. Okay.
Yeah. So this is Deckard's gun.
It's got 2 triggers?
Yeah.
I didn't know.
It's a set trigger. So, you set the one and then you have the other.
I didn't know it had 2 triggers. I only remembered it having one.
No, but it's an interesting piece.
I bet you most people, if you ask them what kind of gun, like now that I see it, yes, it does look that. I can remember that in the movie,
Mm-hmm.
but I wouldn't have remembered it this way. I remembered it more like a revolver in my memory.
Right.
But I bet a lot of people when they see it, they would have thought the same thing. But okay, that's a pretty good choice. I got to give it to you. That's a good choice there.
Nothing flashy, but it's really a very identifiable, iconic weapon. So
Okay.
that's why I put it at my number 4.
No, that's a really good choice. I went for something that's also memorable. Something that's a good choice that I think a lot of people, again, I don't need to show you this to you because when I tell you, you're going to go, oh, I know exactly. How about when I mention the words Star Wars? Now, everyone is going to stop and they're going to go, oh my God, Star Wars. Wait a minute, why is it so low? First of all, they're going to say, why is it so low? Okay, Star Wars, but yes.
Why is it so low?
It's number 4. It's number 4 on the list. And John's right, by the way. Going back to your choice with Decker, this film is shot very dark. So you're right, John. It is hard to see the gun, so that's why I thought it was a revolver. In fact, it isn't. But my number 4 is Star Wars, and I know everyone is going to look out there and they're going to say, what's the one gun everyone's thinking of? And you're going to hear
I'm
a lot
thinking
of people,
of 2, actually, but go ahead.
well, everyone's going to probably say, well, it's got to be Han Solo's modified E11 handgun. And you're wrong. Because everyone thinks of the E11, the modified E11. It's classic. It's Han Solo. No, that's the Stormtrooper's gun. Everyone thinks of they think of the Han Solo and they think E11 because it kind of sounds right and it flows across. There's only one time that he's using the E11, at least in the original first movie, which is now episode 4, but New Hope. In other words, Star Wars, period, full stop, no chapters. That movie, he's using it because he was in costume as a stormtrooper. He was hiding. And so that's why he was using the E11. No, Han Solo's gun, which is definitely iconic and the one that I'm thinking of, which you see in every other film, even when he got killed by J.J. Abrams, was the heavy DL-44, which is modified. Now, some people think, well, it's a DL-44, which is, and I know there's the Solo movie. And I know some people saw it. And I saw the Solo movie, and it sucked incredibly. And they ruined the origin of everything. What? Yeah. How's Han Solo's last name is Solo? Because some guy gave it to him. No, who cares? It's a name. It's his family name. It's the future. It's a far, far away. He can be called Solo. No, some guy gave him that name. They ruined the mystery of everything. And they ruined the mystery of Chewbacca's bandolier. And they ruined the mystery of Han Solo's gun. That some other bandit that we don't know and don't give a damn about. Yes, I like Woody Harrelson. Don't give a damn about his character at all. Suddenly takes a rifle, breaks it down, and tosses it to Han Solo, this kid playing Han Solo, who's not Han Solo. And suddenly it's Han Solo's classic, modified DL-44.
Yeah.
That's the history, kind of, sort of, according to Disney. And I reject that. I reject Disney Star Wars. But the original and the prequels, this is the iconic Han Solo's rogue pirate gun.
Yep.
Which has a huge kick and will knock a stormtrooper on his ass in one shot. That's the gun I picked for my number 4.
That's a good pick. That's a really good pick.
Yeah. And like I said, everyone remembers it. The second you stop thinking, I think most people think that Hansel had a E11, the stormtrooper gun, because remember in the original when Kenobi is fighting Darth Vader and they're trying to get onto the Millennium Falcon and they see him get struck down, and Luke is standing there, he screams, and then he pulls up his gun and he starts firing. That's the M11.
Right.
Excuse me, the E11. That's the E11 that he took off stormtroopers earlier when they were running around, and he's firing that. And then you see Hansel, he fires his DL-44 with a couple of shots, but that's only like a split second, and then they go in. So you're thinking, since that's what's on the screen, is you're looking at Luke and you're looking at the E11, you're focused on that, and you're thinking, well, they're all using E11s. No,
Right.
the stormtroopers are. He got it from a dead stormtrooper. Han had his own gun, and that's why I think some people mix the two up, if that makes sense.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Am I a geek? Yes.
What's even funnier though is like if you go into how they built the prop, and I won't go right into it because it actually takes away some of the mystery, but it is an interesting evolution from where they originally had this concept of a blaster for Han, and then they were looking around, because Hollywood will do this. They will look around at things that already exist and try to Hollywoodize them. And if you actually looked at the prop up close outside of the cinema, you would look at it and go, God, that thing is fugly. it really,
yeah, I guess. Yeah.
it really up close. It looks like just a mishmash of junk squished together. But it really is movie magic when you see these props that some of them they come up with, and through lighting and editing and
In the
framing.
setting. And
It looks
everything else is kind of like that.
Yeah, it looks fantastic, and it looks like you want to own one of these things because it would be the coolest thing ever. But if you look at it up close, it really Han's gun, the DL-44, the prop itself looks ridiculous.
Well, put me in front of the Millennium Falcon and then tell me that, But
Right.
But I get your point. But I think my number 4.
That's
wins.
a solid number 4.
Yeah.
Yeah, that definitely would beat out Deckard's gun.
Yeah. But I understand why you picked Deckard's gun. I just think it's too high on the list. It probably do well at number 10 versus Revy for me. But let's go to, we're going to go number 3. Okay. We're getting up there. We only got 3 more choices, folks. How is your list in your head? You in the audience, you're watching this and you should have liked this. You should have shared this. You should subscribe so that we can get more people as we go week by week. And we're doing these lists. And I want to hear about what your list is, how you rank this, whether or not you think we're ranking them the right way. Did we forget some iconic gun so far that should be on this list that hasn't been yet? You got to tell me, should I have included this Marines and the M41 41A, should that rifle, the pulse rifle, have been on the list? Or do you agree with me with the M56 smart gun? That's kind of up to you guys. So what I'm going to do is or do you think that the French, I know it's not French, the Psycho gun, should that have been ranked higher? I mean, it's a gun controlled by bullets, controlled by your mind. You gotta, that is kind of cool. You got to give that. But all of that is only possible because you like, share, subscribe to both me and to Dal. And maybe if you can afford $1.50 a month, you can join my Patreon, help support this channel. Your support makes it all happen. But with that said, let's go to the number 3. That's you, Dal.
Okay. I thought maybe you'd want to go first this time.
No, hell no. You're the guest. You always go first.
All right. So my number 3, very obscure. I don't know how many people have ever watched Michael Crichton's Looker, the movie Looker based on Michael Crichton.
I know the book, and I know of the book, and I know of the movie, but I don't know the movie.
Okay. There is a gun inside that movie that is called the Looker, which stands for Light Ocular Oriented Kinetic Emotive Responses. I had to write that out because I'm never going to remember it. And it, instead of bullets, the unique thing about this gun is it shoots a light pulse that turns the shooter invisible to the victim. So think about what you could do with that. So essentially what it would do is you could take this gun and you could basically make yourself invisible to everyone that you shot with it, and you could move throughout the world without even ever being recognized.
So it's anyone who's, so if I have the gun, no one can see me.
Right. If you are the one that if you shoot the gun and you shoot it at somebody, it won't kill them. It just blocks you out to them. So you could move invisibly throughout the world and never have to worry about being seen ever.
I get it. It's kind of boutique.
Yeah.
I could see how that could be useful for, I want to rob the local grocery store.
Gross.
I mean, you know.
Yeah.
But I mean cameras and robots.
Yeah.
That, I don't know if it's going to work against them.
I don't know. I don't know really how if that would be, if maybe whoever's looking at you and you shot the camera. Like I don't know if that application would work, but the reason it's so high on my list is because of its potential. Right? You want to get into some place and you won't want to be seen. Well, you just pop and you're in, right? It's a weapon of access as opposed to a weapon of destruction.
More of a spy, espionage kind of thing.
Right.
Yeah.
That's how I was looking at it. Very extremely useful for non-lethal operations, actually. So that's why it's my number 3.
Okay, that's why it would never make my list. It's non-lethal. There is no such thing as overkill. I need bigger.
If I want access, I'm going to level the place.
You know, give me a bigger gun. That will get me the access. A bigger bomb means I'm in.
Right.
You know, I will use a fuel air bomb. That will clear the area. I'm safe.
That's true.
But that's me. That's the Marine in me. Overkill, no such thing. Oh, wow. That's a good question. So John asked the question, if you shoot yourself, so do you shoot yourself to become invisible?
I don't know. I don't even think they addressed it in the movie. Honestly, I'm trying to remember the whole synopsis and they're like the whole movie, and I don't think they ever even thought about that. Because sometimes, when movies deal with things like that, where it's like, you have the ability to make yourself invisible to everyone, but then eventually they sometimes will approach issues of self-loathing, where it's like, I've become so despicable, I don't even want to see myself. I could see them maybe exploring that if they turned the gun on themselves, what would happen, or shot themselves through a mirror. But I don't think they even approached that. I think the guy was just the main character was all about like being invisible.
Go insane and kill yourself.
No,
if you could never see yourself, so you're like a vampire or something, you can't see your own reflection. You can't see you ever.
Yeah, you wouldn't even know you exist.
You would go psychotic and either like mass murder and kill everyone until they kill you or kill yourself. Because and I said the wrong words there. Oh, we just got hit with
what? Oh,
yeah.
We're speaking gooder English.
Yeah. I'm speaking properly as a thought, and it's like, oh, you said the word,
combination of words thou shalt not say.
Yeah, it's stupid. Anyway, sorry, folks. Let me move on.
It's fine.
I'm not going there. That's political. I'll deal with that tomorrow. Okay, so my number 3 is kind of like something that you mentioned earlier, and you rank some of the things you ranked were just way, way too low. In particular, when we say the Men in Black, and yes, They have the big, huge honking, shoot down the spaceship out of the sky, let it fall back into Queens because no one cares about Queens. They have the big, huge guns there. That's fantastic, and I don't mind. And no one cares about Wrigley Field because it's the Mets. Come on, it's the Mets. But no, that's not the gun. And I think you got it dead on right that, yes, the noisy cricket is one of the best sci-fi movie guns. Absolutely. Even beats out almost everything in anime as well. We didn't go into books. We didn't go into TV because we're going to talk about in a second some of the notable mentions, and you'll see there's some great ones there. But I think the noisy cricket has to be the number 3 choice because it is so powerful. It has, anyone who's fired a firearm knows that there is a kickback. You fire the gun, you got a kickback. You got a shotgun, it's going to push you back. I have fired a saw, which is basically a machine gun, and I fired a machine gun. I had a guy in my unit. He was firing a machine gun, decided to do the Rambo thing, just hold the chain and fire the M60. And this was a big guy. I mean, he looked like the Swede, except he was black. Big black guy in the Marine Corps. And he's got the one-handed firing the M60.
Right.
And he walked back. The recoil was just pushing him back. He wound up like 5 yards behind where he started, over to the right, because it just pushed him back as he was firing. People don't realize there's a huge recoil for these things.
Yeah.
And when the noisy cricket, you fire that and it picks Will Smith, who's not a tiny guy. I mean, he's not big by any means, but he's not a tiny guy, picks his ass up and throws him like across the street and into the windshield of a car that's parked. Just bang. That thing is powerful. Yeah. If that's the kickback, that thing, and I mean, look at the damage it does. So I was really impressed. I mean, and it's of course the big joke, especially the first time he fires it, because you're like, what's he gonna do? Pew, pew, pew.
Right.
I mean, that's what you're thinking.
He's thinking small pew pew weapon.
Yeah, because he's the junior and he's the rookie and he doesn't know. So you're figuring, he gave him the little toy because he doesn't expect him to do anything. And then it's like bang. I'm like, yeah. So I agree with you. I say all that to say, and I'm gregarious, so we all know that. That's why it's my show. I can be gregarious.
Right.
We know that noisy cricket, I agree with you. Great choice, except it's number 3, much higher in the list.
Yeah.
And I will put that against your invisible gun. Or invisible gun. I don't know what you call it.
Yeah.
Okay.
The looker. The looker is the name of it.
And John says Dow took a loss on the number 3 pick. Any weapon where you shoot yourself or your teammates to become invisible.
Is not great.
He's got a point there, especially if I have noisy cricket.
Right.
Mind you, noisy cricket does have a downside, because even when after the first time Will Smith finally got prepared and was like, oh, and fired it again, he still got his ass thrown backwards. So it's not, that's, you better be aiming right the first time, because you're going to be on your ass after the first shot. So if you missed, you're dead. So it does have its downside, but if you hit, done.
Yep. You turn into mist.
Yeah.
It's not even a paste, it's a mist.
But we agree. I mean, we've got a couple of guns that we both agree, different rankings, but we agree deserve to be on this top 10 list. And I think that's kind of cool. And I think people are agreeing with some of our picks, not all of them. That's fantastic. Mostly agreeing with me. That's okay. It's my channel, so you can do that. But fine. You can always go with the underdog. The guest is always welcome to be right on this channel. I just like it when it's me.
That's right. I think some people are agreeing with some of my choices. It's just the rankings that are the issue.
Well, that See, that's the trick about the challenge.
Right.
It's not just getting the right thing, but getting it in the right spot.
order.
That it's a lot trickier to do this than people think. It's not just what you pick, it's where you put it. So, and that sounded so dirty. I don't know. I just realized that afterwards. Okay. Let me, wait a minute. Before we go to notables, John also mentions, thank you, John, for the comments. We really appreciate that you're speaking up here. We also appreciate Hot Chicks and Mark, everybody who's talking here. Noisy Cricket's only problem is if you forget it's in your pocket, look for your keys. Oh yeah, you're gonna have a bad day there. No matter how,
it's not so much you shoot yourself in your foot, but now you shoot yourself and lose all of your hip. And
well, not only that, even if you miss yourself, you're flying off into the sky, going to land who knows where. I mean, there's no win with that. So, yeah, he makes a good point. It's bad day all the way. But before we get to the final two, let's take a minute. Let's take a moment and talk about things that didn't show up on the list.
Okay.
Now, that doesn't matter. It could be that it wasn't good enough to rank in the top 10. It could be because it's a TV show or it's from a book, and therefore it didn't qualify for this list. What is a notable one or two? What's your first notable mention that you would say?
So first notable mention for me was Buck Rogers' XZ31 rocket pistol.
Buck Rogers?
Yes, Buck Rogers. XZ31 rocket pistol.
I'm at a loss for that one.
So let's see if I can find a picture of it.
What is this from the TV show?
TV show. Yep, it's from the TV show
in the 80s.
Yes.
Okay. So the 1980s, Buck Rogers with the little mini robot that goes beady beady beady, right?
Yep, that's the one.
He had a gun?
Go. Yeah.
Okay, well,
this is going to be a model set of the gun.
Oh, hey! Why does it say Buck Rogers? Oh, no, that is Buck Rogers. Right.
Buck Rogers.
No, this is like isn't that the 1950s?
Yeah.
So that's the 1950s version of Buck Rogers.
Yeah, you know,
not the 80s.
Not Buckaroo Banzai. That's the other one.
No. I'm thinking there was Buck Rogers in the 21st century. That was a TV show in the 80s.
Oh, okay. No,
and it had a little short robot. He was called Twink. Literally, I think his name was Twink. No, I'm serious.
No, I know.
The little robot's name was Twink, and he would go beady beady beady. I know people are looking at me like, Mike, you're insane. No, it was beady beady beady. That was his thing. They had him on the show just to go beady beady beady. It was called Buck Rogers in the 21st century. So I was trying to remember that show.
79 to 81 actually is when that was on.
And this is the older classic Buck Rogers.
Yep.
Oh, that's kind of cool.
Yeah. So that actually was right around the same time that they were trying to figure out how to make the gyrojet, believe it or not. So the gyrojet is actually a real rocket pistol. It fires rockets.
It fires rockets?
Yeah, from the 60s. Yeah, they developed a rocket firing pistol. The ammunition is just a projectile with rocket fuel in it, and when you fire it, it hits a primer pin and then shoots this rocket out. Brandon Herrera recently did a video, probably 2 months ago, demoing one of the gyrojets. Those rounds are extremely expensive to get. I think he fired 6 of them, and it's like $1,000.
Really?
Yeah, they're hard to get a hold of.
Okay. I am going to show you my choice. Okay, my first, where is it? I'm sorry, I'm trying to bring this up so you guys can see this. And of course, nothing's working right. Nothing ever goes the way I'm trying to put it together one way and it goes another. Can you see that? No. Here we go. So this is my first alternative. She didn't make it onto the list, but I thought she's phenomenal. So there is the TV show Helsing, which
Oh,
is based
yeah.
on Van Helsing and Dracula and that
Yep.
fight. Except and again, it's an alternate Earth where vampires and ghouls and all that still do exist. And this police girl, and most
Yeah,
people
it's
think
Police
of her as
Girl.
Police Girl.
I love Police
Her
Girl.
name is actually Sarah Victoria, and she's a badass. Like a lot of women in anime, she's a badass because she earned it. And
Yep.
her guns are cannons, and I love them. Sarah's Victoria fires the anti-Midian cannon and the Hallow Cannon 2, which are big anti-tank auto self-propelled rockets and rifles. They are fantastic. She is a badass, and the guns are great. And this is where we get the line, bitches love cannons. Bitches love cannons. This is her. That is I wish she had made the list. She just missed the list, but I thought that was really great because it's true. Bitches do love cannons. And I thought that was a great one. Do you have another one for the didn't make it?
Yeah, the other one that I had was actually from Firefly. The television show Firefly was called the Callahan Full Bore Auto Lock, and it's a giant sized. Well, it looks like based on the M4 platform, so it looks like just an AR style platform, but it's very shiny, lots of chrome, and has a muzzle compensator on it that looks like it came off of a cheese grater.
Okay. Well, my other notable mention is something that a lot of people probably are surprised isn't on my list. It's not my number one. It's not my number two. It's not on my list at all. RoboCop, the Auto 9 pistol. Yep. His iconic pull it out of his hip. And I'm talking about RoboCop, the original, not the remake. Throw the remake out. I don't care about the remake. The original film, the first film, there were 3 in the original series. The first film in that trilogy, silver, you've got the muzzle flare, and it's just firing, just obliterating everything it hits because it does have a 4-round burst. Caseless firearms. It's fantastic. I love that gun. That is like a fantastic little gun, but it didn't make my list.
No, it didn't make my list either. Although it was one that I was looking at and kind of like, well, it's a bit more like the Lawgiver, but with fewer functions. So I just kind of was like, nah, I'm not going to add that one to my list.
Exactly, and that's what we've got a machine gun already. It's in Aliens, so that's this M56 smart gun. So there you go. And we got Zorg, and we've got the Lawgiver. So I'm like, it doesn't really need to be there. Did you have one more, and then we'll go to number 2?
Yeah. 1 second. Here we can actually do this. Last one that I had was where was it? Last honorable mention I had was actually I was going to say the E11. I was going to say the E11 for Star Wars. But mostly because I was poking fun at it.
Oh, come on. The gun is not the problem. It's the
stormtroopers.
Yeah. Although I did see there's that parody video out where they have the software upgrade from Micro Poop, and they have the newest, latest upgrade for your E11 handgun, and it suddenly shifts the sights to here. So no matter how you shoot, the software is just throwing off everyone's aim, no matter what you do. So it's not their fault.
And my last honorable mention was the Warrior Blaster from Battlestar Galactica, not the new one, the old one from like 1970.
What, the Cylon's gun? The big old?
No. The Colonial or the pilots. Yeah, the pilot's sidearm for the Colonial Warriors.
Okay. I kind of remember that with the original Starbuck, who's a man, Apollo, who's a man.
Yep.
In fact, all of the word men. Yeah, I remember that. I remember that show. Just mentioning it so you know which series we're talking about. The other series had a bunch of women. These are all men. So there you go.
Yep.
It was, I like the original. It had Lauren Green as Adama.
Yes, and he was a fantastic character for that, or actor for that role. He was brilliant. I
liked him
that.
as Adama. He was very fatherly, very wise. He came off with that really well. That was a really good series.
And I ended up watching, on a little bit of a side, I ended up watching it because Face, the guy that plays Face from the A-Team, was Starbuck.
Derek Benedict, if I remember correctly.
And I was like, hey, it's Face. So I ended up watching it. Loved the show. Great show.
Dirk,
but they had
Dirk Benedict. That's it.
Dirk
Benedict. Yeah.
But their sidearm is interesting because it looks like they just took a light bulb and put it at the end of a box. That was a plasma gun. Well, so that'd be my honorable mentions for iconic firearms.
Okay, because I don't remember that, but that sounds funny. Before we go forward, obviously Farscape. They have pulse pistols. For anyone who's seen Farscape, okay. I love Farscape. It's one. Come on, I'm wearing the shirt. What the frell? I love Farscape. And Ben Browder, his character is John Crichton. He's the lead. He's our representation in that sci-fi world. And his handgun, his personal carry around, is a pulse pistol, which he calls Winona.
Yeah.
And Winona, and I like it because it's a pulse pistol, but it has ammo. It runs out of ammo from time to time. It sometimes misfires. Sometimes very humorously, but it will misfire. It will not function. He has to keep it clean. He has to maintain it. It's like a real firearm in this sci-fi universe. It's not like they're always just perfect, pristine, and limitless ammo. No, this thing is like a real firearm. He treats it like a real firearm. Yeah. You got to maintain it. You got to keep it clean. It's going to mess up sometimes. And he yells at his gun. He has a relationship with his gun. When it doesn't fire, he screams at it and says, "What's wrong?" So right. I like that. That was but that's a TV series, not a movie, not anime. Didn't get it on, so that's why it's not on my list. So with that said, let's go to number 2. What's your number 2?
All right. So my number 2 is the basic Starfleet phase pistol from the original series.
Starfleet.
Okay,
the Starfleet. Starfleet. From which one?
From the original.
Okay, so we're talking about Star Trek, the original series.
Yes.
A phaser.
Yep, Star Trek phaser.
Okay. That's pretty iconic. I mean, everybody knows what a phaser looks like.
Yep.
And that's a pretty good choice for number 2. I'd like that as a number 2 choice. It's classic. It's iconic. Cool.
The original prop was actually just a magazine. The handle was a magazine, and they just put what do they call it? One of those things that you stick in your ear. Like it's
a Q-tip.
No. It's like one of the ends that they use for the end of the scopes that they use to look in your ears. The doctors would use.
Not the stethoscope. Oh, I know what you're talking about. The endoscope.
Yeah, the endoscope. They would use They used the end of an endoscope underneath a cylindrical lock, and then they put it all together on this piece of plastic, and then stuck it on top of a Glock mag. Way to kill it, I know, but that was the original prop from the original series. It was so funny to look at.
Use what you got, but
right,
it worked.
Yeah,
it looked original. It was original.
Yep.
That's a pretty good choice for number 2.
Well, that's my number 2.
That is pretty iconic. But going back to anime and going back to the Hellsing show that I was just talking about, and there is a wonderful version of Hellsing, which is called Hellsing Unabridged.
Oh, that's fantastic.
Fantastic. 10 episodes. It's about 10 hours. Phenomenal. Basically the same art, but new voice acting.
Yep.
And comes up with a brand new script, totally different than Hellsing Ultimate. Totally new story. Both are fantastic. Both are wonderful. You will not go wrong by seeing either version. You will not upset yourself in any way. Although I think Police Girl is more fun in the abridged version than in the original.
Yeah, most
but
definitely.
the main character in Hellsing isn't Van Helsing. In fact, he's dead.
Yeah.
His daughter, who's in charge, Sir Integra Helsing, and yes, her title is Sir Integra Helsing, and yes, she's very much a woman.
Yes.
Which is part of the joke and the funny humor of it, by the way. Just a little thing there. But, and it's purposeful, it's meant to be there. But Sir Integra Helsing isn't the lead either, even though she has the title name of the series, Helsing. No. Alucard is the main focus of the entire show. Alucard is our anti-hero. And I won't mention who Alucard is, although it's kind of funny in the unabridged. The abridged version actually addresses something very interesting about Alucard that should be obvious to everyone, but isn't necessarily. It's actually a funny line. And you'll think of it, it'll come to you, but I don't want to spoil the joke because it's so obvious, but it's yet still a joke. But Alucard has two handguns. One of them happens to be called the Jackal. And any handgun that gets to be called the Jackal is going to catch your attention. It is a semi-automatic that fires a 13 millimeter. You'd think a Desert Eagle is big. This thing fires 13 millimeter rounds. It's a big, huge barreled gun that if it weren't for the fact that this is an undead vampire lord that is wielding this thing, no one could possess this and actually fire it, let alone lift it. And it fires blessed silver bullets. And depending on the version that you're looking at, it sometimes fires blessed liquid silver. Molten little silver itself, not just a bullet, molten silver, and makes spikes out of the molten silver that it fires as a weapon. I love this thing. It's called the Jackal. It is fantastic. And it has an inscription on the side of it that says, Jesus Christ is in heaven. That's inscribed on the side of the gun. That tells you how big it is. Jesus Christ is in heaven in script. This is a big honking gun. I love it. And the way that character is able to use this firearm, the fact that it's taken out vampires and ghouls and zombies and people and cars and buses and everything else, it's fantastic. I think it is a very iconic, and just watching him, like how he fires it with his teeth, he reloads with his teeth. It really stands out. And I think it's a really great, and it's an anime, but again, I think it stands out, and that's why.
That's a good choice. No, I've seen Hellsing, and that's an excellent choice.
Yeah,
for number two.
I love it, but I get Star Wars is also a good choice. So I think you have a good choice too, and I think audience is going to have a hell of a time trying to figure out which one they should pick there. Before we go to number one, did you have anything else that was notable that didn't get on the list?
The bowcaster, Chewbacca's bowcaster from Star Wars.
That's a good one.
Was one that I was looking at, and I thought, it is an energy weapon, so it is technically a firearm, but it's named and shaped exactly like a bow. So I wasn't really sure if that would it would classify as a firearm.
Yeah,
but it was unique enough where it was. I didn't really understand the mechanics of it, because there's conflict. The bowcaster either generates, in one sense, the bowcaster generates energy and expels it like a laser gun.
Mm-hmm.
But in the books, if you read the books, they actually don't generate and fire like a laser gun. The bowcaster, it actually generates a string of energy, and it launches projectiles via that energy string.
Yeah.
So it
like
was
a
never
crossbow.
meant to shoot, like a crossbow. So it was never meant to shoot laser beams. It was actually meant to shoot these quarrels that have like various heads on them, and those heads would translate into different effects. So I kind of hemmed and hawed over it, and I just decided to keep it off the list because it's a unique armament, but I wouldn't necessarily classify it as a firearm, depending on whether you strictly went with the movie one or the book one. It was too
Both would do.
controversial for me.
See, on the list, we're going by movies. So you'd be
Right.
fine with all the movies where it is shown being fired, which is
Right.
only like 2 movies where you actually see it being fired. And it's fired like a rifle or
Right.
a handgun. So for the list, it would have been fine. But I get the point that the books make a difference. But the books are no longer canon according to Disney, which means that they are absolutely canon according to me.
Right.
So,
That's utter bullshit. I grew up on the books.
Yeah.
Like that goes with just about anything as far as lore is concerned. Like when Disney decided to nix the entirety of the expanded universe from other authors that have added to George Lucas's vision, and it has been canon for years. These expanded lore,
Mhm.
and Disney was like, nope, we're going to make our own, and we're not even going to bother borrowing the stories that have been made by these other authors. They really destroyed it. I was so disappointed to see how they handled the next series of movies. Even the one, so when the Force Awakens, like that was, to see Han go like that was terrible. I would never want him to go like that. I mean, it certainly put him through tragedy. I don't want him to forever be, happy or whatever, but because that's not life. And he had a really hard life. Han Solo did. But to have his son do him that way, and then afterwards it was not even an afterthought. Like they just dismissed him. Oh, he's dead. Okay, moving on. It didn't seem like they gave him enough care and attention to his.
Well, they
ending.
weren't trying to. It's
No,
Disney.
they weren't.
It's Disney, Star Wars, J.J. Abrams. They wanted to go and put their own characters in, and as they said, kill the past if you have to. That's what they did. And as a result, we now see the status of Star Wars has diminished insanely. So I'm not surprised.
Yeah.
Let me mention, I have 3 notables that I just want to bang right out for people because you may not be familiar with them. The number 1 is going to be the TR-116 sniper. Now, people are going to go, Mike, what is the TR-116 sniper? It's Star Trek. Oh, that didn't help you? It's DS9. That's right. This is Deep Space Nine. And it's a sniper rifle, but it gets way, way better than what you're thinking. This, in particular, the TR stands for transporter. This is a transporter sniper rifle. Let me give you, I wish we didn't have TV shows in. Otherwise, this would have made my list 1,000% yes. This sniper rifle, you fire the bullet takes off, it gets transported with all of the momentum, and it instantly teleports to your enemy wherever they are in transporter range with the full force of the bullet. So it goes through walls, it goes through floors, it goes up, it goes down, it goes in, it goes out, and it hits the enemy without setting off any alarms. No one will ever know that you fired. The person just falls over dead with a bullet in them, and no one knows how they got shot. It is a transporter sniper rifle. I think it is brilliant. One of the best weapons I've ever seen. So that's in Star Trek TV show. I would have included it otherwise. I also want to mention that this is the Space Marines, of course, Marine Corps. Do you know this?
Yeah.
It is the Space Marines. It is the Storm Bolter. And this is how badass the Space Marines are.
I was going to go with the Bolter too.
Yeah. In their armor, they're standing 8 feet tall. They have a handgun that's as big as most people's chest. It is called their rifle is actually their handgun is actually it's a rocket launcher. Okay, it's a miniature rocket launcher. It fires 40 millimeter rounds. In other words, 40 millimeter rockets. These things aren't fired. They literally launch out the tube towards the enemy and then explode. They don't actually hit you. They explode. Whether they hit you or not, it explodes when it gets to the proper distance. These are insane. Now, if you think it's insane to have a multi-round mini rocket launcher that's handheld, that's with 40 millimeter rockets that are being fired like it's bullets in a machine gun, if you think that's pretty badass, now imagine that you double the barrel and you have it going off twin. There's twin linked together, double barreled machine gun firing rockets, 40 millimeter rockets at your enemy. And this is what you call your personal handheld weapon. That's a Storm Bolter. It's badass. Warhammer 40K, of course.
Yeah.
But there is only one thing I can put, and this would have been my number one if it were not for the fact that it hasn't been in a movie. It hasn't been in an anime. The Ultimate Nullifier. Sadly, it's in a comic book. It's the Fantastic Four. Most people may or may not have heard of it. The Fantastic Four. It's the Ultimate Nullifier. It is the ultimate weapon. It will take out gods. It'll take out Galactus. It'll take out planets. It'll take out a universe. It will take out whatever you want to take out. It is the ultimate weapon. It takes out everything and anything that you can imagine. That is a handgun. That's handheld, man-packable. One person takes out anything. Doesn't matter what it is. Ultimate Nullifier would have been my number one if it were not for the fact that this is it has not appeared for some reason. How can you have a Fantastic Four movie and have
not have the Nullifier
and not have the Ultimate Nullifier? It makes no sense. It's stupid. I don't understand what's going on with Marvel or Disney, but okay.
Probably because it was way too overpowered. It's like if they have the Ultimate Nullifier, whether
that's the point.
Right.
Talk about overkill and having too big a gun. It's the ultimate big gun. It's the ultimate overkill. I take anything and everything out. Anything. That's what the point is. That's why everyone's scared of the Ultimate Nullifier. It's overkill on acid. I mean, I love it.
Steroids.
Yeah.
It's the meth of firearms.
Yeah.
Oh boy.
All right. So with all that said, what's your number one?
So my number one is going to be the AGL. Let me get the name right so I don't make anybody mad. All right, so it's from an anime. It's from the anime Trigun, and if anybody's familiar with it, it is the AGL Arms 45 Long Colt that is carried by Vash the Stampede, and that is my absolute favorite firearm, and I love it not only because it's carried by Vash with such it just looks sexy. That's part of it. Here, I got a picture of it right here. So go ahead, bring that up. So it's a mishmash of a whole bunch of real life firearms, but what's really interesting is actually what's kept up right here in the right up at the top. So you have the underfloated barrel, and then you have the top. Well, the top actually houses a special element that, when activated, turns Vash's entire arm into a giant cannon that can level cities and put holes in moons. It's called the Angel Gun.
Okay.
So, and it's all activated from this handgun, and so that by power, by uniqueness, and by iconic recognition, this gun, as far as my generation is concerned, is, you could talk to anybody and say try gun, and they'll know that this gun immediately pops into their head.
Well, nerds, yes, because you have to be if you're a weebo, and I know what a weebo is. Thank you.
Weeaboo. Little weeaboos.
Weeaboo. Mm-hmm. And I know what that is. I've been in anime since before most people were born these days who are on the internet. I remember the original Dragon Ball. Yes, not Dragon Ball Z, Dragon Ball.
Love the original Dragon Ball.
Okay.
Great.
I remember it all. I've seen the whole thing when it was being broadcast. So it was really cool. Vegeta still rules. Hello. Vegeta still rules. But
right.
That all being said, and I know Trigun and I know the gun, and it is cool. I give you that. It is a cool gun, but I don't think it is that iconic. I don't think it's iconic enough to be number one. And the audience has the final word on all of this. They get to pick and choose, whether it's in the comments after the show or during the live. I am looking forward to hearing what people have to say. But I think there is a better choice for the number one. And I think you're going to agree with me, folks, when you get to see this. There you go. The Klingon Disruptor. Oh, everyone was going, wait a minute, it's Star Trek. There's a phaser up there. Mike's going to
you're talking about the Disruptor.
I'm talking about the Disruptor, the Klingon Disruptor. And you're going to say to me, but Mike, it's Star Trek, and it's the Federation, and they inspired NASA and all of that. Yeah. And who are the guys who scare them? Who are the guys who kick their butts? Who are the guys who actually have the balls to have overkill and actually beat their enemies? Not to sit down and go kumbaya, but when it comes to a fight, they actually kick ass. I understand the phaser has stun. I'm going to stun you. Oh, or I'm going to phaser you, and I'm going to, I don't know, break off a part of your body. Oh, that's so mean. Disruptors have one setting. You're obliterated. Obliteration. Yeah. That's it. They evaporate you. That's the only setting. There is no stun. Who's fighting an enemy to stun them? Nobody. Why waste your time? Either you kill the enemy or you are killed. Done. Overkill. Let's get it done. So while the Federation is running around like a bunch of pansies going, I want to stun him. Oh, does he have a nervous system? It might not work. Oh, let's blast them, and I want to stop him. No. You know what stops someone? You know what stops your opponent, your enemy, the person you're fighting in a war, another warrior? You know what stops them? Obliteration. They have been evaporated from the face of the universe at the atomic level. Give me a Klingon Disruptor because they rule. Have I made my case?
Oh, you've made your case all right. Actually, for another live stream, we could actually go into maybe we could go into discussion of the application of the Federation of due process to non-Federation members. Like the philosophy of it, because that's essentially why you have the difference between you have the difference between phasers and disruptors. Klingons are like, you're the enemy, we're going to destroy you. And the Federation's like, no, we need to apply due process to all, regardless of whether they're Federation or not.
No, screw that. It's Klingons got it right. Okay. Right. Klingons got that right. Hi, I have the technology, I win. Done.
Look, Chuck.
We are done with the conversation. It's over. We've had the argument already. I have the technology. I win. You're an ant. You're a peasant. I'm the guy with the disruptor. I win. Over. Overkill wins every time. I love it. Don't you know what beats the Klingon disruptor? Stormbolter from Warhammer 40K. Luckily for Star Trek, it hasn't been in a movie because they'd lose instantly. 40K would blow them away. They have nothing to compete with. Nobody.
Man.
But
40
until then, you know who's the next closest competition? It's going to be the Romulans. You know why?
Yeah.
Because they believe in overkill too. Have the big gun fire the big bullet. That is logical. See, they're logical beings. It's logical. And Klingons got it. They got it. They don't have to worry about the logic of it. They just instinctively understand if I disrupt your existence, I win.
The Romulans go one step further, though. They want to obliterate you from concealment. So they have the better cloaking designs
Because they're cowards and they're hiding.
Yeah.
Because they know that if they had to stand up to a Klingon with a disruptor, they would lose on a one-to-one fight. Yes, they believe in big guns, but they hide their guns rather than actually having the balls to stand up and say, I'm going to shoot you now. You know, but that's why Klingons are so cool and why we love people like Martok. The House of Martok needs to continue, not the House of Moog. The House of Martok needs to continue because they're cool, because they stand up and say, I am going to win this fight and you're going to listen to me. You are my underling. Thank you very much. Overkill rules. I'm in charge.
Right.
That is the way it's done. See, this is why the Disruptor and the Klingons are so damn great. But everyone's running around talking about, you know what? Kirk has got to have Klingon blood in him from somewhere because he goes up and he's able to fight a Klingon, which is 3 times as strong as a man, and he's able to take him on hand to hand.
Mhm.
And he believes in violence and he believes in having overkill and a big gun, and he uses it on a regular basis. Kirk is very Klingon. No wonder the Klings love to fight Kirk. He's like their ultimate adversary, not the remake J.J. Abrams go hug a son or some stupid crap. Could care less because
No,
Kirk
the original Kirk. Yep.
Yeah. The original Kirk you love. The new Kirk, nobody likes him. No one respects him. He's an annoying asshole. I don't understand why anyone would follow him anywhere. He's more likely to get a grenade in his bed than actually have anyone follow him. And, give me the original series Kirk. That's somebody I'll follow. I really love him. And if I can't follow him, I'm going to start my own house right next to Martok with the Klingons because they kick ass. Give me a disruptor.
I don't know.
Folks don't realize I get into this. Yes.
Yeah.
This isn't a game for me. I love my sci-fi.
I mean, as far as like finality, yes, the disruptor beats out the long gun, but I don't know. I'd still like the look of Vash's weapon over the disruptor any day. Now, take the disruptor.
By the way, we're not talking about Vash, the political.
No. Vash the Stampede. We're talking about
Vash the Stampede, a cartoon anime character,
and he's
who
a
is
plant.
far cooler than the psycho socialist. Screw him. We're talking about someone who's actually cool. Vash the Stampede from the anime, and he is a cool character. I do like him. I like his character. His gun is decent, although Preacher has a better gun. He has the machine gun that's disguised as a cross. Roman Catholic cross.
It carries Colts in the arms. So the arms have Colts. In fact, one of their episodes where you first meet Nicholas D. Wolfwood is "Blessed are the Peacemakers."
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because he's got the guns.
He's got the guns.
Big gun.
Yep. And the rocket launcher. That was my favorite part. Was when he takes the cross and then he turns it the other way and then he fires and it's this homing rocket. I was like, yeah, that's a good one.
See, out of Trigun, I would pick Nicholas Wolfwood, who's a preacher, believe it or not, folks. Biggest machine guns running around, but he's a preacher. I like him in Trigun. I liked his character a lot. And then there's Millie. she's got like 50,000 guns and underneath her cloak,
Yeah.
billions of guns. She just gun.
Oh
gun,
no,
gun.
yeah, that was Millie. Then who was the big girl? No, that was Millie, wasn't it?
Millie is the big girl, and she's got the
Okay.
cloak with all the handguns. She's got like 1,001 single fire shots.
No, that was so there's Millie Thompson, the big girl, and she has the anti-personnel crosses that she fires out of this like massive cannon. Then there's Dillinger. Dillinger has
Dillinger has, that's right. Dillinger has the single fire,
yeah.
several dozen single fire guns in her cloak, and Millie has. That's right. You're right.
Yeah.
You're right.
Yeah, I was gonna say that sounds backwards, but yeah, that she's the Derringer's and that's pretty awesome when she like actually gets to use the ball and she starts shooting everything. It's fantastic. Great series. If you haven't watched it, watch it, folks. Trigun, very good.
I liked it as an anime. It's a good anime. I would say watch Hellsing first.
Yes.
And then watch Hellsing Ultimate first. Then go back, watch Hellsing abridged, and you will thank me for that. And
It's
then
so funny.
you go and watch Trigun if you want. In that order. You will thank me for this.
Yep.
And you will understand why I think the Jackal is fantastic. Unless you have a chick with a cannon, Ceres Victoria, with her cannons. Ah, yes, that is so good. Bitches love cannons. People look at me like, Mike, what do you mean? It's the latest craze. It is the truth. Trust me.
Yep.
Matter of fact, do I have that? I'm going to try and find that real quick.
The clip of it?
Yeah. Tell me, while I'm doing that, tell me what you think of the list. How did you have fun?
Oh yeah. Yeah. No, I love talking about stuff like this. The one of the things that really gets me is the fact that we do have a lot of culture, but it seems like a lot of the stuff that we generally talk about, especially you and I, since we're also politically active, we tend to give off this idea that we don't have any other interests outside of politics, and it really isn't the case. We have, my sons love D&D, and that's because they learned it from me. Like I love different aspects of entertainment and things and culture, and that's what I grew up on, was like science fiction and fantasy. So there is more to life than politics, but we just sometimes forget how to enjoy that because we talk about it so often. It's nice to actually be able to talk about something else and have fun with it.
True. All right, folks, I want you to hold on. I'm going to try and play this live for you so you can see this. You're going to enjoy this because this is why I say Ceres.
This is from Unbridged, right?
This is from Abridged, yeah.
Yeah.
So this is from the Abridged. It's only about 8 seconds. So I should be able to get through with YouTube. Can you see this?
Yeah, I can see it.
Tell me if you can hear it.
Give that bitch a cannon.
Yep.
Bitches love cannons.
Bitches love cannons.
That's fantastic.
Did that explain it right there?
Oh yes.
Oh, wait a minute. I got to stop it though. No. Oh God.
My
That's gonna give
sons
me the
my
content
sons
script.
actually showed me the Abridged. Like I had no idea it existed, and they came down and they're like, "So we're watching Hellsing Abridged." I'm like, "Wait, I've never heard of that." And they're like, "You've never heard of this?" So they started playing it from episode 1, and I have never laughed so hard in my life. It was just great. Every line was a banger. It was just boom, 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 right? So great. Now I'm gonna have to go watch it again.
No, I love it, and that was just 8 seconds, and
Yep.
you can see why I love that. I mean, it's great. We've been having fun. It's 2.5 hours, a little bit longer than we normally would expect, but we usually try to go about an hour and a half thereabouts. But it's fun to talk about these lists. It's fun to talk about why we enjoy the sci-fi, the time off, all the different movies, TV shows, animes, the things that we love. And I hope you found and enjoyed the love that we had in doing this. I hope you, the audience, got to have it as well. I hope that you will like, share, and subscribe. I say it all the time because YouTube won't do it. Google won't do it. Microsoft, no one's going to do it unless you do it, because we need your support. They don't care. They have their big money things they want to take. You got to go to the movies and see the Marvels. I feel bad for you. You got to go and spend $12, $20 a month to watch The Acolyte. I feel bad for you. You got to live through Agatha. I feel bad for you. But what you can do is come and join us every Saturday to talk about a top 10 list. Next week, I'm going to have Blaine Pardoe. He is the noted multiple author with the Blue Dawn series. He's done Battletech, which is
impressive.
a great genre all of its own. He's got his own new thing instead of Battletech. He's got his own mecha thing, which is Land and Sea. Prolific author, not to mention that he has his true crime series that he does with his daughter. He's going to be on, and we're going to be talking about sci-fi, something that he knows, just a little bit about. And that'll be on October 5th. And then I have another person who's a sci-fi newbie who's coming in on October 12th to do a list, as well as someone who isn't ultra familiar with sci-fi, because not everyone is. Everyone should be, but not everyone is. And so we're going to do that. So I want you guys to be able to have content and enjoy yourself, whether you're very familiar with sci-fi or not at all, to be able to check it out. But that means you got to help me. Like, share, subscribe. Go to Old Man Vass, like, share, subscribe. It's got 128 subscribers. Come on, we can get to 5,000. It's not a number. I'm not asking for the universe. I don't have to be number one. I just want to have, 5,000 subscribers on my entertainment channel talking about top 10 lists. Do you think you can give me a like for that? But with that said, Dal, tell people about what you're doing.
So when I'm not working, because I have a day job, I don't get a lot of chance to sit down and actually do a whole lot in terms of entertainment. So when I do have time, it's mostly video games or anime, something that I can take in little snippets. I do try to do some online programs. So like when I'm playing, say, Fallout 76 is one of my favorite IPs. I'll play that, and then I'll stream that. And that's Dal's Radio Roadshow. Very inconsistent, though, with that lately, because things have been busy in the real world. Mostly now, I did take an interest in Warhammer 40K, so I'm delving a little bit into that. I want to find out a little bit more about it.
Alpha Legion. Alpha Legion rules.
I'll take a look. Just scrape the surface of it. So when I was looking at the bolters and things, because I was playing Helldivers 2, and they have a weapon in there that is much like the bolter. And someone had made a reference to that, and I'm like, so what is this? I hear about War.
They stole it.
Yeah, they did. So Warhammer 40K, I've heard about it, but I've never actually looked into it.
The commissar would be very upset with you.
I know. So I just heard about the commissar. So
you didn't know what a commissar was?
No,
oh,
just in the communist sense.
No. It's in 40K.
It's entirely different. So
actually, we like commissars in 40K.
So I've been getting into that briefly, and my son's been making fun of me because I just recently picked up the guide to Mechanicus
Codex, the Mechanicus Codex,
the Mechanicus Codex. So yeah, he's just like, wow, you're gonna get some really trippy stuff from that.
I would have started with the Space Marine Codex myself, because that's going to give you the most fleshed out content, and then you can go over to Mars and talk to the Mechanicus, because you're not going to understand half of what they're talking about.
No, probably not.
It's
Although
fun.
I think it is kind of interesting to have the concept of the emperor on Earth who has to sit upon the golden throne for centuries.
Yes.
That's interesting. So
Well, he's the emperor of mankind. Do
right,
not take him lightly. Yes, I know my Warhammer 40K. I was around at the very beginning. In 1990, I was collecting and getting the codexes. I was in on Codex 2 and 3. So, yeah, I know my 40K. Cool. So, definitely send me a link. I'll make sure it's in the description so people will be able to see your channel. People, I want you to go out and like his channel as well. It's not all about me. Yes, I got to self promote, but you know what? I want you to go. Dal was here and he gave you his list. Not as good as mine, but he gave you a list. So give him a like.
Yep. I appreciate that. Thanks. Thank you. Now you can play the stinger and see my way out in shame. That was Grimm, everybody. Good job.
All right, folks. And what we're going to do is we're going to end with my brand new intro video, which I'm going to play on the outro because I just made it. So I want to have it played again because I liked it. Dal, I want to thank you again for being here with me to spend time with me on the top 10 list.
Always
And
fun,
of course, I'll see you every Wednesday at 7 o'clock on the round table where we're talking about politics. Tomorrow, 2:30 p.m. Sunday live stream on No Sound Bites Allowed, talking about serious politics, talking about the 2024 election. A lot coming up there, but we will do all of that later.
Oh, you muted yourself.
All right, folks. Bye-bye.